Good morning. It is Thursday, March 25th, 8:16 a.m. This is the meeting of the North Andover Youth and Recreation Council. Before we get into our agenda meeting, I will read the governor's statement in regards to open meeting law. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law GIC 30A 18 and the governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the North Andover Youth and Recreation Council will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information in the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at www.northandoverma.gov. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so on their televisions by tuning into Comcast Channel 99 and Verizon Channel 28, or online at www.northandovercam.org. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Town of North Andover website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive recording of the proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Thank you, and thank you as always to North Andover CAM for their assistance in broadcasting the meeting. I'll start out with a roll call attendance. Kevin Driscoll.
Here.
Peter Breen. Dan Moore.
Here.
John Hertag.
Here.
Holly Williams.
Here.
Jenna Sidori.
Here.
Larry Allen.
Here.
Terry Holland.
Here.
Andy Furman is present as well. Myself, Rick Gorman.
Present.
Demi Marsh.
Here.
Denise Casey, are you on?
I am here, yes.
Awesome. Welcome. All right. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining today. First order of business is the approval of the January minutes. That was sent out to the council members earlier this week. Do we have any motions pursuant to the January meetings?
I make a motion to approve January meeting minutes.
I second the motion.
Motion made by John, seconded by Holly. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, hearing no opposed, we'll call that unanimous. Moving on to new business. Rick, it's all yours. We can take these items in order. Staff vaccinations, winter programming, spring and summer offerings, children's shows, concerts on the Common, Stevens Pond, hiring summer staff, event at the Stevens Estate for Youth of the Year, and Youth Appreciation Day. So we have a lot of fantastic things in order. Looking forward to hearing about it.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Obviously, we haven't met in 2 months, so I want to give you a full update of where we're at. So obviously, number one thing is staff vaccinations. Working with D. Casey in the town. We've got things rolled out. I personally just had my second shot. And Lauren actually was able to get an appointment and got the J&J vaccine. So she's had her double whammy shot already. And Asia, Kyle, and Demi have all had their first shot. They'll be having their second shot on the first week of April. We kind of balanced it out so they wouldn't be all potentially the same day, because some people are having obviously side effects with it, but it's been pretty good. So we're pretty excited about the full-time staff. Can't thank Dee enough and Melissa for making sure this happened. As most people know, this was a sense of frustration from me that we had been on the front lines working since June. And it seemed like, quite frankly, people were more concerned about, the fate of teachers getting vaccinations, when the reality is we've been doing everything day since June. So thanks to the support, we got it done. Obviously feeling a lot better with that. The next step is to have all of our kids that work for us vaccinated over the course of probably the next 6 months. And the first thing we're doing, and the kids have been pretty proactive on this, is that our kids that are over 18, many of them already have appointments for their first vaccine shot. And a number of them are obviously registered, and we'll see where that goes. In April, when the governor changes it to 16, the ultimate goal would be to get, if we know at that point in time who's working for us during the summer, to work to get the kids vaccinated before we start the summer. So obviously, what we pulled off last year was a miracle, but it would be a lot easier and lot stressful if we can get most people working for us vaccinated. So we're pretty pumped above that. And again, thanks to Dee and everybody. We do have a new staff person. I think we actually talked about it at the last meeting here. So due to a creative thought by town manager Melissa Rodriguez, Jen Battersby has joined our team. Jen is splitting her full-time job with us and the assessors board / building. So Jen is with us on Tuesday through Friday from 8 o'clock in the morning till 1. On Mondays, we are continuing to keep our volunteers we had on Friday flipped to Monday. So we have everything scheduled. Jen's been great in her first, what's it been, Demi, 3 weeks or so. She's been a great addition to us and is taking a lot of things off of Demi's plate on some of the more, taxing menial things that, Demi just doesn't have a ton of time for. She's been great with that. So I hope at some point when the doors open again, you'll get to meet Jen. But she's been a big addition to us. So this Friday, we finish our winter programs. 12-week winter program will end this Friday. We are once again ecstatic. I need to keep saying this statistic because I don't think people understand like how huge this is. That since we reopened in June, we have not been closed one single day due to COVID-19 issues. I will be honest with you, at the end of the fall session and the early part of the winter session, we were affected by COVID-19, but not the kids coming to our youth center. More so, some of our high school and college kids that work for us. A few have been positive, but the bigger issue is because they're all friends in a lot of ways, we've had close contacts. So Demi has done a yeoman's effort to juggle the schedule. And we've been able to do that. We start off every day staff meeting of asking who's on the COVID list, and then we kind of go from it there. So just to give it a perspective of it, there could be somebody that's a close contact that has to be quarantined for whatever it could be, 6 to 14 days. That person is taking off the work shift, and other people pick up those shifts. And then when they come back, they pick up a shift of somebody else that might have been a close contact. So in the reality is we have had 6, I think it's 6 or 7 now, positive high school kids. The problem is the close contact list is about 30, but we have balanced that incredibly. As Dee used a term yesterday, the ability to pivot, and we pivot every single day to make this happen. And the fact that we have not been closed is a literal miracle. If you compare to other organizations like ours or schools, there has been interruptions at various periods of time. So obviously pretty proud of that. On Friday, we will be wrapping up with our winter staff. And we turn this into a bit of a tradition now with the pandemic. We will obviously be meeting with our winter staff to thank them and appreciate them. Many of them will continue with us. Others will go to spring sports. We have a little bit of a pizza party for them. We debrief what the winter was like, and then Demi takes the famous picture, and this will be the latest group that'll be added to the wall, and this one will be added as the winter group that helped save the winter. So we got one more season to get through, and that starts Monday with our spring programs. And And then that'll bring us up to the summertime. So our spring offerings, we'll be offering more than we had in the winter, with even some more creative things. The reason you'll see more programs is we'll have better weather to do some of the stuff that we want to do outside. We have been using our building. Our building has worked really well, by the way. Everyone follows the rules, the guidelines. Kids are amazing. And we have used our building all winter. For those that are still cautious about using an indoor facility, as long as your HVAC system's inspected and cleared to go, you open the windows. And I know I've probably horrified even some of my peers in the town who saw windows open all winter. We always have the windows open. So if it's 12 degrees, Demi will have the window open and she'll probably have 4 blankets around her. But we do survive. And the windows is the key. I know people don't like hearing that, but you got to keep the airflow in there. So we will be advertising with our summer program, especially the parents that are concerned about, well, are they going to be inside? It will be very clear that we will be inside just like we were pre-pandemic with no worries. And then people will have to make their own personal choices on that. But my attitude would be follow the science, follow the data, and follow our guidelines, and you'll be fine with that. So again, spring starts on Monday. It goes for another 12-week period. We break the 12 weeks into 2 sessions. So when you sign up for a program, you're signing up for 6 weeks. The amount of programs that we're offering to service every possible kid is something that I'm extremely proud of. If there is a kid in North Andover that can't find something to do at the youth center and something they're interested in, my first reaction would be it's more about the kid than it is what the youth center is offering. So the amazing amount of 8th graders, we have more 8th graders at the youth center this year than we had pre-pandemic. And that was a worry because 8th graders get a little bit of a I'm too cool for the youth center attitude. And that has been dispelled. The amount of 8th graders we have is incredible. We've actually dealt with setting up specific programs for 8th graders. So really good on that. So that kicks off on Monday. What will kick off literally a week after that is summer programs. Demi has been working incredibly hard with all of our staff. We have an incredible summer being offered. This will be the closest summer to pre-pandemic times. So things that we thought that we couldn't do last year within guidelines, we'll be doing this year. So we're bringing back our regular numbers. We'll be bringing back the use of the vans. Obviously, we can't use the vans the way we used to be, but following state guidelines on use of vans, we'll be having them half full, windows open, etc. So there's a ton of programs. Demi has it up on the website now to give everybody. We basically came out to 2 weeks notice on what's being offered. We're hammered with questions already. I fully expect Summer Fun to sell out probably within 2 weeks, which is something that usually sells out by June 1st. I think people have had it. I think they want to sign up and they're afraid that they're not going to get in. So we expect that first Monday in April. Demi, Jen, the rest of the staff are going to be bombarded. We hope that we don't break the internet with our online registration, which tends to cause a problem occasionally. But we're really excited about the summer. So in the summer, just to give you a quick overview, we'll have our traditional summer fun sergeant, summer fun drumming, Girl Got Game, which is being moved to the Atkinson School this year because the school department is actually using the middle school for their own programs, which they didn't do last year. Sports and rec out at Reynolds Playground. The Joe Wall Summer League basketball, which will be full basketball this year. Last year, due to guidelines, it could only be skill development, but games are allowed now. On top of that, we'll have our boys and girls community service programs. We have a number of 1-week programs, Adventure Week, Girls Week, Exercise Week, and we have about 15 field trips and 1-day events. So it's going to be a full schedule. We've offered even more programs for middle school kids than we've done even pre-pandemic. We will be probably utilizing the cohort concept on everything else still. We are being clear to people that things are getting better, but the guidelines are going to be pretty similar to last year. Masks are going to be worn. We'll be following the cohort pieces. There will be physical distancing requirements. But we know a lot more about the virus now than we did last year, and it's just going to be easier to do on that. One thing I'll throw out to you guys is one thing that will be banned this year, which was the biggest popular thing last year, is dress like your counselor and wear a bandana as a mask. Bandanas will be outlawed because they're not considered totally safe for the virus. So we will make that clear to everybody that they'll, what they should be wearing. But the bandana was a little bit of a cult favorite last year, but the science tells us we're going to be banning that this year. So big time stuff with our summer program. The next thing is Stevens Pond, and we're excited after such a tough year last year. So people think the pandemic hurt Stevens Pond. It made it challenging, but the issue wasn't the pandemic. The issue was the water quality issues. So under the leadership of Melissa and Dee, we've got everything as a fix now. So our aerator is working. That will keep the water flowing. The town put an expense into that, which I think the residents are really going to appreciate. We also have a way to deal with the geese. Everything from our police dog running the beach every morning before we open up, to also some added equipment that actually keeps geese off. And we promise not to make sure that light flashes into John Hertog's house on where he lives. But it's going to really eliminate the geese is actually one of the biggest issues we have. So those things are put into place. I'm excited to say the first week of May, through the town's playground program, a brand new playground structure is going to be built on the grass area of Stevens Pond, and that will obviously be used throughout the whole summer. But I took John's suggestion as well as some of the other neighbors. We are looking at, when the pond closes in August, a way to actually still use the playground. And we're going to be talking to the town manager about Stevens Pond becoming more of a year-long use. They've gotten a lot of pressures from the residents about certain times for winter skating, that type of thing. So I think Stevens Pond has some great future, but the biggest thing is we're going to have a real safe summer down there, and we're pretty excited about it. Those sales will go on in May, the first week in May, after the select board sets the fees. The children's shows and the concerts on the Common are back. If you remember the concerts on the Common last year, we got 4 in, and then Melissa had to tell me to shut it down due to state regulations. So we are doing it again this year. The 3 or 4 groups that were canceled last year because of those new regulations were the first 4 that we asked back. So we have a full schedule of 7 or 8 concerts. One will also be a jazz night with our middle school and high school jazz groups, which is another way to share with some of our kids, not just adults. And that'll be on Sunday night at the Commons, 6 to 8. There will be restrictions. Masks will be worn. Families will sit together 6 feet apart. We will actually patrol that, which we did last year, but we didn't really have to do that. The band will be 15 feet boundary area away from any spectators. And we are working on a tracking system, which was a suggestion from Melissa and Dee, that we still want to track who's there. So my staff will be upgraded over there to basically log everybody in. And we're going to have to stick with what the numbers guidelines are. So right now it's 150. Word is it will be up to 250 this summer, which would then not be an issue for us. But some of the bands have more than 150 people that come. So the reality is, if you show up at the Common at 6:25 and there's 150 people there, you're going to be asked to leave. So we have a really good plan with that. Very excited. The children's shows, which was canceled last year, which I know Jenna was very disappointed. And the reason that that was canceled by Melissa was, in hindsight, was actually the right decision. The children's shows are very interactive. And at that point, we didn't know enough about the virus to take that risk. So this year, we're bringing back the whole schedule that was scheduled last year that had to be canceled. And 6 of the 8 acts are coming back. There are still 2 acts that just don't feel like they can do it with physical distancing, and we'll fill those 2 spots. There will be guidelines there, same as the adult concerts on the Common. And some of the interaction shows that have done in the past, they've had to redefine how they're going to do their show. So we used to have like a guy that did drumming stuff, and it'd have the kids use his drums and stuff. That won't happen. We'll probably be asking people if they want to bring their own little hand drums or whatever, they could do that themselves. But they'll redefine how they actually do their acts. So we'll follow the same things I talked to about the concept of the Common in terms of guidelines. So those are the big things we've got going this summer. We are in the process of hiring our summer staff. And again, the vaccination issue might push us up on this, but we're hoping to hire the kids in 2 different sessions in May. We are loyal to the kids that worked to us last year as part of, that we got through the toughest year ever. Unfortunately for us, we were expecting a few people to move on just from an age perspective, because most of them go for internships after their second year in college. Internships have been affected big time with this, so we have a few more kids coming back or wanting to come back than we were expecting. So we're going to have to balance that. We have, a couple hundred kids that have applied. We've had a lot of 9th graders that have applied that we've already publicly said, thanks for putting your name in, but it's going to be a long shot for any 9th grader to get a job this year. And the reality is most of our kids are hired after their 10th grade year, not their 9th grade year. But we appreciate their interest, and they'll be in our database with that now. So we'll be identifying that staff, and then we'll be doing a 12-hour training with them through the course of June. I have an idea to actually split it up to 4 days of 3 hours, because the 12-hour train is really draining on everybody, including myself. So we're very pumped about the summer. Let me get to 2 events, and then I'll take any questions that anybody has. So we were not allowed to have the auction this year, and Holly will address some creative things the board is thinking about doing. I'll defer to her after I finish this stuff. But we are holding a live event at Stevens Estate on Thursday, May 20th, that you're all invited to. It will be outside in the tent, and it will be our opportunity to honor this year's Youth of the Year, which is North Andover senior Ava Samanek, as well as the scholarship winners, who is not public yet, but I applaud the Joseph N. Herman. They are awarding more scholarships than they've ever done. 10 scholarships will be awarded this year, which is absolutely amazing. And I thank them for their huge financial contribution to that. So we will be inviting Ava and her family, all the scholarship winners and their families. And when we say families, by the way, we're talking 2 parents, or 2 people from each family. We're inviting, obviously, this board. Holly's Joseph N. Herman board is actually sponsoring it. It will be light hors d'oeuvres, and it will be an open bar, and we'll be doing it for about 2 hours. So besides the 2 committees, my staff, all the kids and their families, Dee and Melissa, that's going to bring us up around that 60 range, which is obviously plenty to have in the space that we're using. So we're really excited about doing it. It was good what we did last year with the virtual Youth of the Year, but can't do that 2 years in a row. Like, it's got to be live. There's no reason why it can't be live. Everybody will follow guidelines. We'll tell you ahead of time. Make sure you're wearing your mask and everything like that. But it's going to be a real special night. I have said this many times. This is in my 33 years, this is one of the greatest graduating classes that we've ever had. And this happens like every 4 or 5 years. There's just one grade that's just so connected to the youth center. Phenomenal kids. I know Holly in committee last night, they had to review the most applications. And when I saw who didn't get them, and I don't question any decision was made, all I know is almost every kid that applied is a phenomenal kid that could have got a scholarship and probably would have gotten a scholarship in any other year where there wasn't so much competition. So it's a phenomenal grade, and we want to make sure that we honor them the way they should be honored. And then the last event, which we ask you about coming every year, last year it was virtual and kids coming in to pick up their awards and us delivering it. But we're doing a live youth center Youth Appreciation Day on May 27th on the outside basketball court with full physical distancing for all the kids that have volunteered for us during this craziest of all years. Our guest speaker is Nick Savarese, who's a former YC kid, who's the executive director of the Doug Flutie um, autism group, and he's going to be our guest speaker. We've got some amazing awards to give out. It's just going to be a great thing. If it does rain that day, we'll look at having a rain date for it. But we're going to be positive it's going to be a great day. So 2 really good events coming up that I really think if you're comfortable coming to, you really should, because this is the year that we've talked about our staff being honored. And again, we've been honored by the State House of Representatives, the State Senate. I was on with a Zoom with the Select Board. But these kids that have worked for us, these kids that have volunteered for us, kids that have done so much stuff need to be honored in the way they are. So we're not doing it virtual, we're doing it live. It can be done safely, and we will do it safely. So a lot of stuff I just threw at you, but we haven't met in 2 months. I want to just continue our success. Every Friday night, our last social media post of the day is the lights out at the youth center and what we accomplished another week in the books. So we're hoping for a continued safe spring. My personal opinion was I didn't know if we were going to get the spring. So I'm cautiously optimistic that spring will be easier than the fall and the winter was. But again, we'll continue to follow all the stuff. And then we kick off pandemic summer number 2. And there's no stopping us because we're all experts on this now. And last thing is our theme for this year is a theme that is so fitting, and it's whatever it takes. Because quite frankly, that's what we've done this last year is whatever it takes to make it happen. So thanks to all your support, and I'll take any questions at this point.
No.
I know Terry has asked Andy if you could actually go to each person and ask them if they have a question.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I do that, Rick, I just want to congratulations to the entire staff. Thank you to Melissa and Denise and all other town departments for supporting you. It's as human beings, it's very easy for us in our brains to focus on the negative and to harp on that. And the amount of positivity that's coming out of the youth center, everything that you've done to support our youth and our adolescents and our young adults is phenomenal. And everything that you talk about here is providing that positive outlet for our kids to get back to normalcy. Fantastic, the number of programming. I don't have any questions other than that comment. We'll go around. Kevin, do you have any questions?
No, just echo what you've said. Great job, Rick and Demi and the team. A real inspiration to the town and proof that the pandemic doesn't really shut us down.
No,
Thank you, Kevin. Dan, do you have any questions or comments?
no, just wondering, are we okay with finances? Is that a concern?
Yeah, great question, Dan. I'm glad you asked that. And 2 things I forgot to mention. Going back to that Stevens Pond playground, I want to let people know That's through some incredible work that with the Community Preservation Committee. So I don't want to give them a slight. They put this whole playground program together, which has been great. To Dan's point, this was the biggest fair, right? So through the help of Dee, Melissa, and our finance director, Lynn Savage, we actually made up some money during the summer through the CARES Act. But we haven't had the CARES Act through the school year. And at this point in time, we're not probably going to get any additional CARES money. But what we ended up doing is by doing the youth center the way we did this year with the cohorts, and that you had to sign up for each specific program. My fear was we going to make enough money? And the reality is, Demi and I have done all the finances, and we're ahead of schedule, financially, revenue-wise, than what we were the years before the pandemic. So we are in a good position. We are not going to have to go into the revolving account more than we normally do. We're not going to have to go and beg Dee and Melissa for money. We've been actually very cautious of how we do the finances. I'm very proud of my staff, not that we cut corners, but being very aware that we don't have deep pockets and we got to make this work. And the flip side, you got to thank people like Holly Williams, right? So, as a parent, and we kind of laugh a little bit about this, but it's a little bit of fact, is the membership for the youth center is $125 a year. For Luke to come to the youth center this year, Holly has paid more than $125. And that's because he signed up for certain different programs or whatever. So what I'm trying to say there is the little bit that we have actually been able to survive because of that. So my hope is, and we're not even going to have this conversation until next August, but my hope is if we're in a better place, we'll go back to just having the membership and continuing through that. But to answer your question, Dan, we're in good shape.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan. John, any questions, comments from you?
No questions, just, Rick, I just echo the prior comments, and hats off to you and Demi and your entire staff. Job well done.
And John, we got that playground happening.
We're looking forward to it.
All right.
Awesome. Jenna, any questions? But by the way, if anyone's watching the video, I think Jenna just showed why we are doing all of these programs. Absolutely adorable.
She said, why is that man the only one talking?
Uh-oh.
No, I don't have any questions, but I do want to say that it means so much that you've been working so hard, but you also have not complained once. I haven't heard a single complaint or a single fear. You guys legitimately put the kids first every single step of the way. And it's so encouraging. And I feel proud. So thanks for letting me tag along.
Thanks, Jenna. Larry.
I'm proud too, and I can't say enough about the work that's been done.
Awesome. Thanks, Larry. Terry.
Yeah, no questions. As we know, Rick doesn't disappoint. So everything's good. And if you need any help with any of those get-togethers, Rick, give me a call.
Absolutely. Terry, we did want to talk about on Youth Appreciation Day, we can't do our traditional cookout because of that. So I need to talk to you a little bit about how we could do a boxed lunch box dinner thing that we can do safely. So you and I will talk offline. I think we can come up with something pretty good, and we'll bring the hot dogs and hamburgers back next year.
Sure.
Awesome. And thank you, Terry, for your continued support in that endeavor. Holly, do you have any questions, comments?
Nope, just, same thing as everybody else, but I know, as Rick mentioned, my son is at the youth center 3 days a week, sometimes 4 as a high schooler. And especially being an only child, it's been awesome. And every time we drive him there, my husband says, thank God for that youth center. So for him, being an only child, it's been a great way for him to continue to socialize and interact. So having that social piece for the kids to be able to still get together and what is normal to them has been invaluable.
Awesome. And Dee, I want to thank you before I open it up to you. I just want to say thank you for all the work you did with the staff vaccinations. I know that was not an easy item to navigate, and truly appreciate your efforts in that category as well as everything else. Any questions or comments for Rick or for the council?
No, I just wanted to say, and I apologize. I'm on my car in my car. I'm driving. So I'm hands free. Don't worry. So yeah, I just wanted to say how incredibly proud I am of Rick and his team. And it's with Rick. It's not no, we can't do it. It's let's figure out how we are going to do it. And that attitude is infectious, right? And getting them the vaccine I thought was a priority, and I'm so glad that we were able to get them vaccinated. That meant a lot to me. um and thank all of you for your commitment to the youth center and your continued support. You guys all play a role as well, and I think we oftentimes don't thank our citizen volunteers enough for what they do and their time and their effort. So I just want to say thank you to all of you, and I do have to say thank you to Terry Holland, who hosted the Water Sewer Department's pizza party. I was very happy and very proud that we got to say that Stachys hosted that party. So thank you very much. The guys and girls at the water plant were very appreciative. So thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Have I missed anybody? Awesome. So Rick, hearing no questions on any of the new business items, we do have some old business on the agenda, the youth center expansion renovation. Any comments, updates on that?
Yeah, so just want to give you a quick update. So we have been working with the architects. We've actually had 2 revisions to building off of the youth center that we are going to be looking to use with any long-range plans the town is looking to do. It is not a secret that we don't know economically where we're going to be financially with the town in the next coming years. But we are, and the town has committed that the expansion of the youth center is a priority. And we'll see how the next year rolls out. Obviously, we're looking at 2023 is the year that we were slated to do some expansion on this. And, I'm still taking the attitude that we're working towards that. Melissa knows how important it is. And then we're going to see where we are from a town's perspective. I do want to let everybody on this board know that we are doing a little due diligence also with our friends at the Kachikowit Lodge. So the Kachikowit Lodge, which is run by the Masons and has been in the old center for, I don't know, half a century, probably longer. They are taking a look at how to redefine themselves. They have a very aging population that actually runs it. They've tried to bring in some young blood, which, I know a few of the young guys that are actually involved there. They've been doing things like blood drives. They've been doing occasional Sunday breakfasts, but we're going to have just an informal get together with them to find out what their long range plans are for the building. And in my most latest conversations, they do have some long range planning they'd like to do, but they've talked about possibly partnering with us. The reason that I need to have this due diligent conversation is if I didn't do that and we just decided to build onto the back of the youth center, and then all of a sudden the Masonic Lodge was being sold and condos went in there, I wouldn't be happy about what that would do to the fabric of the old center. I wouldn't be happy what that does to parking and things like that. So just trying to have an informal conversation. We're going to try to buy the Kachik Lodge. We're not even, it's just an informal conversation that myself, a couple of representatives from the town, Steve Foster, Facilities Director, Andrew Shapiro, Director of Community Development. We're just going to have a come together meeting with them in April, and then we'll see if we can go there. So I can keep updating you there. So that does not stop my plans for the expansion of the youth center. But the reality is, if the building was to be sold tomorrow, I would be talking to Dee and Melissa about the economics of whether it's worth buying it, because it is a great building. With full disclosure, it's a building that needs a lot of work. So it's not something you could just go in there and have kids in there and stuff. But we've come full circle. I think Terry's the only one that knows this. That's actually where I first started when we had no space at the youth center. They let us use afternoons at the Kachikowit Lodge, which was pretty awesome back then. So we've talked about even partnering of just using their facility in the afternoon for some of the overflow of our programs right now. So I will keep you up to date. It is important for me to keep the Joseph N. Herman Youth Center actively involved with this because as they've been planning for the last 5 years, they know that some of the money, obviously, we've been raising is for the expansion of the youth center. So again, we are talking that down the road, it will be a partnership again, like it was in 1990s, where it would be a town, Joseph N. Herman Youth Center Incorporated nonprofit partnership for the expansion of the youth center. So not a lot of concrete news, just giving you the heads up. And full disclosure, I'll keep updating every month and we'll go from there. And 2023 is not that far away.
Awesome. Any questions, comments for Rick on the potential expansion plans? Awesome. Before I close out, I'll just go around and ask if there are any final thoughts or questions. Kevin?
No, I'm good.
Dan?
I'm all set. Thank you.
John?
All set.
Holly?
Hold on.
Okay. Jenna?
All set.
Awesome. Larry?
All set.
Terry?
All good.
All right. Denise, Rick, or Demi?
right, sorry.
Holly needs to give an update on the Joseph N. Herman.
Okay.
Sorry, my mouse pad was not agreeing with me to unclick my mute. I think my
Sorry,
husband wishes
Holly.
he could
I
have a
took
mute
that
button
as-
for me sometimes, that he could
Yeah, let's
just
grab an
not
update.
unclick. So just to give a quick update, as Rick mentioned, I'm going to talk about the scholarships real quickly. We had more scholarship recipients than we've ever had, and I was so thrilled to be able to. We moved from the typical 4, I'm going to say, that we give out to 8 for the Herman, and then we're going to give 2 for the Meckel, so a total of 10. The pool of applicants was so impressive. We literally couldn't get it down any narrower than 8, to be honest. And as Rick mentioned, quite frankly, the next 4 kids, I was shaking my head because I said in any other year, these kids would have been slam dunk winners. So it was really hard, but it was really encouraging to see so many kids that have done so much and given so much back to the youth center. So that was wonderful to see, both from a youth center inspiring the kids to do it, and that our community is stepping up with their kids being involved, even in the high school years. So that was wonderful to see. Really looking forward to the May 20th event. As Rick said, we'll be sponsoring that for all the kids and the youth of the year. And I think that's wonderful that Ava's going to get, well, not the moment of a night to shine, but something as close as we can possibly do, because Ava's an amazing individual and deserves it. As for the event, as Rick mentioned earlier in this call, we've had to pivot, or he's had to pivot on many things. We are also pivoting. So as you know, last year's auction was canceled. In the spirit of keeping momentum with an event, I think people kind of earmarked the springtime for a youth center event. And while we can't do anything in person or an auction type event, just I don't have it in me to go ask local businesses for donations right now, nor do I think people are going to be feeling comfortable gathering. We are going to do a golf event at the North Andover Country Club. So right now that date is penciled in for June 7th. Admittedly, I'm a little behind the 8 ball of where I like to be. I'm working out the sponsorships in the best way to raise money. And admittedly, we know we're not going to raise the same funds we typically raise in an auction year. The goal really is to raise some money, not to replace it, but really to just keep the momentum of having a stake in the ground for a youth center event. So what we're going to do with that, because as you may or may not know, North Andover is a 9-hole course. We're looking to do 2 flights, as they call them. I did not know this. We would do an 8 a.m. flight and a 1 p.m. flight. So if you would rather golf in the morning, you are welcome to come out as a foursome for that. If you have to work in the morning but can sneak out at lunch in the afternoon, then we can capture the 1 o'clock in the afternoon crowd. So that is the plan. There are many sponsorship opportunities, sponsoring golf balls, sponsoring the tees, sponsoring the flags, sponsoring the registration, I'm looking into getting a golf ball cannon shooter, and all these different ideas to keep it fun and exciting. But that's where we are at for an event this year. So a little different. We may raise a lot of money. I'm not looking to make this an annual event, more of a, like I said, just a placeholder for an event. And already speaking to the boroughs and the other vendors about looking to May 2022 for next year's event, which I am hopelessly optimistic we will be able to have. Any questions on that? That was it.
Holly, thank you for that, and let me know if there's anything that I can do to help in that planning and coordination. I know it's a short time frame and a lot of work and effort goes into that. So if there's anything that I can do or that I can ask this board to do, please do let us know.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Holly, it's Kevin. I've done like 20 golf tournaments and fundraising for schools. So let me know if you need any help.
Oh, then I will definitely reach out to you. I am by no means the expert on anything that I do, but certainly not in the golf tournament world. So I've reached out to a bunch of my friends that I know have participated just to kind of formulate some of the ideas and the best way forward. But I will certainly be reaching out to you, Kevin. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Kevin. Any questions for Holly? All right. Our next meeting, our upcoming meeting schedule is April 29th, May 27th, and June 24th. So keep those on your calendar. Also,
Well, May
I asked,
27th, is that Youth Appreciation Day?
It is.
Yeah.
yeah. So we can,
Okay.
we can adjust, as needed
Yeah.
as these dates approach.
Youth Appreciation Day is at 6 o'clock at night, so there's not.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. I just have it in my head.
Yep.
The
But
June meeting,
those,
though, the June
those
meeting
other-
would be in the first week of summer fun, Andy.
We need to move up the June date.
The June
Okay.
date should be 1 week before, because that would be the first week of summer fun.
Awesome. That's why we put those dates out. So I will update that to the board for the future meetings and agendas. So keep that on your calendar. The other dates to keep on your calendar, just to reiterate, May 20th is the event at the Stevens Estate. Folks, try to make a commitment to get there. This is why we do what we do, and we support the youth center. So please do make a commitment to get there if at all possible. And then May 27th, Youth Appreciation Day. That's also one of the more touching and days of the year for everyone. With that, I want to thank NACAM again for their support in helping us host our meetings. And at this time, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Folks, have a great day. Have a great week. Stay well, stay healthy. Meeting's adjourned at 9:04.